What up, y'all? What's poppin'? Thanks for having me here. Really glad to be here again. My name is Meta, and I'm that Filipino cat from the island on the map. Settle scores with a bat, cause the ruckus in my class. I ain't saying that I'm proud of all the dirt on my hands, but the Goonies from the boonies taught my feet how to stand. A little older now, my vision got some legs, call it hindsight. I learned you go blind just relying on your eyesight. You'll never see the path when the dust kicked up. You can't speak self-love when your heart ripped up. Cries for help too late when both wrists cut. How can you ask for any guidance when your mouth stitched shut? I tell myself, son, even soldiers need a warm bed. Pain is like a fire. It can't eat if it's not fed. It's getting harder getting older. Think of things I ain't accomplished yet. Think of things I ain't accomplished yet. Under so much pressure, wonder, man, am I a diamond yet? Comparing my success to all these people I ain't never met. Maybe alcoholic, I've been sipping on so much regret. I gave energy and never got the same amount. Now I sit and laugh at all the things I used to care about, like women and the crown and the image and the power. Every rose smells sweet till it's dead and it's sour. They tell me 30 is confusion and pain. I say it's wisdom into action and snapping the chains that your 20s shackled on you like money and fame. Like I made it, I should quit it and just quietly fade. But I know I moved 1,000, I ain't dousing my flame. 10 years of self-doubt, still no shaking the aim. Redefining all my victories, priorities changed. I want the happiness and peace without the pressure or shame. She said, I know you're getting older, still too young to quit your dreams though. Air your dirty laundry, but remember you got clean clothes. I hate your smiles change and see it curving like a tombstone. It used to be a bird's nest. I think it's time to fly home. Last night, my homegirl said, don't die yet. There's so much to do. Just fight it. She called me a captain. Never been a pilot. What good is the plane I'm on if I crash it? Still, I got so much to tell. Dropping my bucket list deep in the well. Pulling out wishes like books on the shelves, and you might call it stories. I call it my health. I didn't come this far just to get this far. We did not come this far just to get this far. That is my opening salvo. If y'all can just drop a line in the chat or maybe even unmute and show some love, make some noise. The Zoom life is an interesting life. What up, y'all? Thank you so much. Um, Yiz, word. I'm seeing all the love. Thank you. So first of all, the dogs are loving. Yeah, 100%. Yes. um, Yo, Zoom life is so weird. I miss performing on stage and feeling the energy of a crowd and actually feeling connected to people. And this is always such a strange experience for me. I've been doing a lot of online gigs and it never ever feels normal, but I'm super happy that I could be here today with y'all. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Christian, for reaching out and asking me to feature today. Um, so really, I wanted to do a mix of like performance and also telling a little bit of my story. Um, I was born and raised on the island of Guahan. It's an unincorporated territory of the United States, which means we were born as U.S. citizens there, but we're not, while we were living there, we're not actually allowed to vote for president. We have a non-voting delegate in Congress. So there was a lot of political and cultural complexities growing up on the islands. Um, I started writing in the 6th grade. My language arts teacher one day told me that I wrote beautifully, and 6th grade me was like, "What does that mean?" um, but I knew that for the first time, someone believed in me more than I believed in myself, and so I started to take writing much more seriously. And then I found poetry in high school. I started just blowing through all the competitions on the island as a youth poet, and then eventually made my way through international competitions. And in 2016, I decided to move to Denver, Colorado, and I've been here ever since, just doing my thing as an artist and as a poet. In addition to my poetry and rap, I'm also currently a high school teacher at Empower community high school at it's in Aurora, Colorado. Um, Zoom life in the school is also weird and feels like teachers and students are needing to perform miracles to really capture the magic of learning. So that's a little bit about my story. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the journey itself. Yeah, online school is pretty gross. I feel you. But we got to make the most of the worst situations. And I think we're doing that. So when I started writing, I never imagined myself as a full-time artist. And prior to the pandemic hitting, I was only working part-time as a social media manager. Uh, and as a full-time artist. And I remember like I had just done my West Coast tour. I had been doing a lot and performing in so many places. And then the pandemic hit, and somewhere around maybe the end of March, mid-April, a lot of the colleges that I had been booked for started to postpone and cancel a lot of the gigs. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, wow, this is not good at all. And it ever since the pandemic hit, I haven't been able to get on stage like many other artists. And when we talk about equity and health, it's one thing for, especially in hip hop, it's one thing for an independent artist to make waves and actually um, find success. And it's another thing, most especially for an Asian Pacific Islander hip hop artist and poet, to try and gain any space inside of the industry. When we talk about misrepresentation or a lack thereof of any representation, um, that's always been one of the heaviest things on my head as an artist, is always feeling like I don't belong in the industry spaces that I'm constantly trying to get into. And the journey hasn't necessarily been easy. Um, I like that Kevin mentions that health is a wide range of things. Lately, mental and emotional and spiritual health has been on my mind a lot, because I've been working with a lot of students who are going through so much um, in the home, right? And so like it's always just been a big thing for me. And recently I went through a really rough patch of like major depression and doubting myself as an artist, mainly because I took a really hard rejection. And like the independent life and the publishing life, you're going to just receive so many rejections. um but like as an Asian and Pacific Islander, I've always made it a point to try and own these spaces that normally do not let us in. And so one of the rejections I took recently was from Netflix. So I auditioned and I was interviewed for this show called Rhythm and Flow. And I got to audition and interview with their executive casting director. And one of the questions that he asked me actually was, how does it feel being an API artist in hip hop? And we actually got to talking about all the challenges and how hard it is. And yeah, I think that, I nailed that interview. He liked everything I performed for him. He had that stank face on the whole time, like, oh, like this cat got some bars. And in the end, I wasn't offered a role on the show. And that kind of rattled me so hard. And I wanted to quit. I literally took a 3-month break on social media to kind of gather myself. I have a small but mighty support system in my life, and they kind of helped me understand, like, yo, this is just another rejection letter. This is just another one of those, and one day I'm gonna look back on it and laugh, and that I shouldn't quit and I should keep going. 100%, yeah. And like I knew all that, but in the moment it hurt so much, and it made me really think about, one, my talent, and two, it made me question, like, did I not answer well enough to that question about what does it mean to be an API in hip hop? So yeah, just so many doubts. But I worked through all those, and I was able to pick myself back up. and find a way forward. And now I'm chilling out here with y'all. And I'm so blessed to be here. So when we think about the future and as young leaders, what world are we trying to create, especially in terms of health and equity? I often think to myself, where do we begin? Right? There's just so many things, and my expertise comes on the side of art and poetry and words and movement through performance. All I know is that we can't imagine a future if we don't know our past, right? We can't think about the fruit of our labor without understanding our roots. And so, really, today I wanted to end my performance and my time with y'all as a speaker here with a poem that kind of honors my lineage and really pays homage to my roots. And so this poem, I'm just gonna put it in the chat real quick. It's called I'm So Fob. Fob as in F-O-B. Fob is an acronym for the phrase fresh off the boat and is often used as a derogatory phrase toward a lot of Asians and Pacific Islanders, really. So this poem is called I'm So Fob, and it goes like this. Sometimes I'm so Asian, my homies say I'm so fob. Like, I'm so fob. My first car was a Honda Civic. I'm so fob. Every meal I eat gotta have white rice in it. I'm so fob. I swallow my accent silent at the dinner table. Mommy got a membership at the Bicolano Club. All our parties got rice, coconut milk, and lots of hot pepper. But we eat our plates in the canopy. Something about the sun makes us hesitant. See, skin is a clock too. Darker shades say you're too close to that mountain time again, or to when life was a hot day on the water, or gutting fish by the river, or planting rice we couldn't eat because we had to sell it all. I'm so fob, everything I digest is imported. You're only really fob if you take everything off the boat and admit your cargo too. I'm so fob, I'm still throwing up from all the motion sickness. Thank goodness immigration only checked the boxes. They didn't cut mommy open, didn't think a fragile package could have a name and a face, rip a smile like a ticket stub. I'm so fob, I wear my Borong Tagalog to the theater. I like this outfit. The itch reminds me there's something past the surface, something sharp like a fish bone, a bolo knife, a baby's cry, something like the edge of a casket and the laughter that lived on after the funerals. My parents, they laugh like they didn't leave so much love behind. I think happiness is the name we give to anything that survives our tragedies. I'm so fob, I laugh with my entire body. The creak in my bones sounds like the hull of a ship. When you crash your way into a country, storms don't scare you much. And when fear is the least of your worries, courage comes easy, like karaoke sing-alongs. I'm so fob, my whole family thinks they can win The Voice Philippines. I'm so fob, a hangover is better proof of celebration than photos. My house has plenty of both. I still got pictures of family I'll probably never see again. But I promise, grandma is still mamay, grandpa is still papay, older sis is still ate, big bro is still kuya. I promise I stopped being ashamed of being fob. I learned to admire the exhaustion in a journey instead, because my story started with a heavy box on a woman's back. So if being fob means to carry burdens through the clouds, past the flags, and into the stars, then yeah, I guess I am pretty proud to be so fob.